Hello YouTube, this is CubeRoot Tutoring and this is our very first video here on YouTube. We're going to be talking about math tips, tricks, shortcuts, and maybe later on teach some math concepts as well. So the first math tip and trick I'm going to do is we're going to go back to Algebra 2 and we're going to be talking about imaginary numbers. So imaginary numbers. So first off, what is an imaginary number? If you remember in Algebra 2, you would know that an imaginary number, I, is simply equal to the square root of -1. And what I want to show in this video is a shortcut to how to solve for a power of I. So for example, what is I to the 15th power as an example? Well, we'll get to this in a little bit. But first, let's talk about how we found the powers of I. So first, we would know that the square root of -1 is in fact I. Now, what is I squared? Well, I squared is going to be the square root of -1, and we're going to make this squared. Well, the square root and a square cancel out, and what we have left is -1. So I squared is -1. What is I to the third power? Well, I to the third power, we can split this up into I squared times I to the first power, and that is equal to, well, I squared is -1 times I to the first, which is I, and this, you add the exponents when you're multiplying them. That will be for another video down the line to show you how that is. -1 times I is -I. And finally, I to the fourth. What is I to the fourth? Well, I to the fourth is, we can split this up to I squared times I squared. Again, 2 plus 2 is 4. I squared is -1 times I squared, which is -1. -1 times -1 is 1. All right, so now we know how we get I to the first power. I'll put the 1 right here. I to the second power, I to the third power, and I to the fourth power. Now, if we want to get I to the fifth power, we just keep cycling from there. Basically, we can split this up into either 2 and 3. We can split this up into 4 and 1. I'm going to go ahead and split this into 4 and 1. 4 plus 1, basically. So I to the fourth is 1 times I to the first is I, which is I, which basically means I to the fifth is same as I to the first. So if you follow the same pattern, I'm going to make this one equal to I as well. If you follow that pattern, you will notice that you can make sort of a wheel in a way. So I'm going to go ahead and make this kind of a X here. This is my imaginary wheel. So I'm going to put on top here, I'm going to put 1. I'm going to put -1 here in the bottom, and on the left and right I'm going to put I and -I. Now, a general rule that I will do is I will tell my students, start here at 1. Then look at your power. In this case it's 15. Then go clockwise that many times. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And we land on -I, and that is our answer, -I. Now you're probably going to ask yourself, well, what about larger numbers like I to the 205th power? Well, that will give me a second rule. So here's the second rule. The second rule is that you can stay in place and then you can count in multiples of 4. The most common ones being you can count in 4, 20, 100, 1000, and basically any multiple of any other one followed by a number of zeros. I was going to say multiple of 10, but actually that's not entirely true because if you did 30, you would actually land right here. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to stay in place and just count 100 and 200, like so. So 200. So we have 5 left. So let's go ahead and start counting. 201, 202, 203, 204, 205. So our answer is I. And that is a shortcut on how to solve powers of imaginary numbers. I hope you liked this video. If so, please do give a thumbs up. Please comment on a math concept or a math shortcut or math problem that you would like to see us do on this video. And if it's chosen, we will put it up on our next video, all right? So until next time, everyone, we will see you later. Bye, everyone.